A 38-year-old man just walked onto the biggest stage in sport and did something he had never done in his entire legendary career. Tonight in Kansas City, Lionel Messi scored a hat-trick in Argentina's World Cup opener. 3 goals, 1 night. At an age when almost every footballer who has ever lived was long retired. And the story behind those 3 goals is bigger than just a great game. Let's start with the scoreline, because it is brutally simple. Argentina, the defending champions, beat Algeria 3-0, and all 3 goals belong to one man. Messi got the first in the opening minutes, slicing through the middle after a pass from his teammate to Paul. The second came early in the second half, pouncing on a loose rebound. And then the third, a strike from the top of the box that sealed it. After that, he walked off the pitch to a standing ovation, the entire stadium on its feet for him. But here is what makes this more than just a good night. In his entire career, across 5 previous World Cups, across a World Cup final he won, across hundreds of unforgettable games, Lionel Messi had never once scored a hat-trick at a World Cup. Not as a young prodigy.
Not in his prime. Never. He waited until he was 38 years old, in what is almost certainly his final World Cup, to do it for the very first time. Sit with that for a second. The greatest goal scorer the tournament has arguably ever seen saved the first World Cup hat trick of his life for the very last act. And those 3 goals did something historic. They were his 14th, 15th, and 16th World Cup goals. With them, he passed Kylian Mbappe to become the active player with the most World Cup goals in the world. And he pulled level with Germany's Miroslav Klose, tying the record for the most goals ever scored at a World Cup by anyone in history. One more, and he stands completely alone at the top of the mountain. Now layer the age on top, because that is the part that should genuinely stun you. Messi is 38, turning 39.
In football years, that is ancient. The average top-level career is basically over by the mid-30s. Legs slow down, the explosive burst fades, the body simply stops answering. Most players his age are coaching, commentating, or sitting on a beach. Messi is outscoring 25-year-olds at a World Cup. This was also his record 6th World Cup, and the match itself was the 200th appearance of his international career. 200 games for his country. 20 years of carrying a nation's hopes on his back. All the way back to a teenager who debuted in 2005. And here he is, 2 decades later, still the best player on the pitch.
So how is this even possible? How does a man almost 40 do what 22-year-olds dream of? Part of the answer is that Messi long ago stopped relying on the things age takes away first. When he was young, he beat people with raw speed and a low, impossible dribble. But the modern Messi plays a different game. He plays with his mind. He reads the match 3 seconds before it happens. He drifts into the exact pocket of space no one is watching. He lets the ball do the running instead of his legs. Age steals your sprint, but it cannot steal your understanding. And nobody in the history of the sport has understood football quite like him. The other part is simpler and almost unfair. Some gifts just do not switch off on schedule. The left foot that has scored over 1,000 goals across his career did not suddenly forget how. The vision that splits defenses did not blur.
Tonight, against Algeria, that same magic that lit up the world 15 years ago was still there, just packaged inside an older body that has learned to spend its energy more wisely. But there is a quieter, heavier truth underneath all the records. This is almost certainly the end. At 38, this is widely expected to be his final World Cup. The only opponent Messi cannot dribble past is time itself. Every touch he takes in this tournament is one of the last he will ever take on this stage. And somewhere, he knows it. That standing ovation as he walked off was not just for 3 goals. It was a goodbye in slow motion, a crowd trying to thank a man while they still can. That is what made tonight special. It was not just a hat trick. It was a legend in the final chapter of an impossible story, reminding the entire world one more time exactly who he is. Not the Messi of memory.
The Messi of right now, at 38, still bending the game to his will. We are watching the last dance of maybe the greatest to ever play. Most of us grew up with him. Some of us will only ever know football with Messi in it. And tonight, he reminded us that the magic has not faded. It has just gotten older, wiser, and somehow even harder to believe. One more goal and he stands alone as the greatest World Cup scorer in history at 38 in his last tournament. If you were watching this World Cup for any reason at all, watch it for him, because there will never, ever be another.